Did you know that natural gas supplies nearly 1/4 of all the energy used in the United States? By the year 2030, natural gas use is expected to increase by 11%. It is touted as clean and reliable. So how much potential does natural gas have to solve all of our energy needs? Joining us today is Gordon Gilette. He is president of Tampa Electric and Peoples Gas. And also joining us here from Washington, Dave McCurdy, president of the American Gas Association. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good to be
You want
here.
to say something about Mr. McCurdy?
We're very happy to have Dave McCurdy here in town today. He's got a stellar congressional background, and he is the right man at the right time for the American Gas Association. And this is not his first time in Tampa this year. He was down here earlier at a University of Tampa forum talking about natural gas and the economy. And so it's really great to have Dave with us here today.
Good to have you here. All right, I'm going to give you have you give me your elevator speech on what is so fabulous about natural gas, because it sounds like a miracle product. But you got 60 seconds in an elevator. Let me have it.
Right. Well, natural gas is the game changer in the energy environment today. It's clean, as you indicated, lower CO2, burns less carbon, but it's abundant. Nature's given the United States a second chance. It is a domestic resource that will last us for more than 100 years. And it's available, and it's at an affordable price. So yes, it is the fuel for the future. And working in conjunction with other alternative fuels, whether it's wind and solar, nuclear, natural gas can be a real foundation for economic growth and energy security for America.
Gordon, how'd you like that elevator speech?
I thought it was
pretty darn good, wasn't it?
I thought it was excellent. Well done,
It was
Dave.
excellent. So you mentioned a number of things there, Dave, that I thought were really important to talk about. You mentioned availability. So expand on that. How available is the supply? How stable is the supply?
The supply is remarkable. It's one of the few fuels in America that we actually see net increases in supply. Because of the American technology and the advent of hydraulic fracturing, they've opened up this shale gas, which is really almost a rock. And they've been able to penetrate that now in miles under the surface and have opened up this abundant resource. We now have more than 100 years of resource, trillions of cubic feet of natural gas. And it can be done safely, it can be removed safely. And what people don't realize in America, we have this vast infrastructure already in place, over 2.4 million miles of pipeline. So from pipeline from the wellhead all the way to the burner tip in your home, when you cook with natural gas or you heat with natural gas. Oh yeah, all the chefs will tell you it's the best way to cook.
It's the best way to cook.
It's great for
I'm
heating.
there.
Yeah. So it's tremendous that way. So all the independent research organizations now keep expanding that resource base. So it can be produced abundantly and safely. The interesting thing is that the price itself, because of this basic supply-demand equation, is at the lowest it's been in decades. And we foresee, even with increased demand, which will occur, that we're going to see stable prices at a very affordable rate for as long as we can see right now and predict. So it's probably not sustainable at less than $3 MMBTU, but at $4 to $5 an MMBTU, we can see this provide power generation, direct use, residential use, commercial. So this is, and transportation. This is truly a fuel of the future.
88% that's consumed in the U.S. is produced in the U.S.?
Yes.
That's pretty interesting.
That which is not is coming from Canada or from the Gulf of Mexico and Mexico. So this is a North American resource. But the shale gas has changed the political map as well. It used to be producing states like my home state of Oklahoma was always competing with consuming states, whether it's Florida or New York or big population centers. That's no longer the case because 32 states have shale production. So even in Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, those places, they now sit on this abundant resource. So it's easy to access and be distributed to these new centers. So part of our challenge is making sure that the infrastructure is in place, that we extend that infrastructure to provide access for all Americans, and then to increase the demand through either direct use or transportation so that we can actually tap this American resource.
There have been some headlines lately about accidents and safety. Talk to me about how safe the pipelines are.
You live it every day.
Yeah, go ahead, Gordon.
Sure.
Talk about that.
Well, America's natural gas pipelines are safe, and they're getting safer. There's new legislation nationwide, and in Florida, just last week, Peoples Gas got approval of the Florida Public Service Commission for an accelerated replacement of older aging pipe that we have on our system, made of cast iron and bare steel. And with that program, basically, pipe that was installed before the 1970s, that's the older, more aged pipe, will be changed out on an accelerated basis with either plastic pipe or coated steel pipe. And our program comprises basically replacing 150 miles of cast iron pipe and 400 miles in Florida of bare steel pipe, which is about 4% of our overall gas system here in Florida. We'll be spending about $8 million a year, and we'll be making our already secure and safe pipeline even safer for Florida consumers.
Talk to me about natural gas fueled vehicles.
Well, it's exciting.
I mean, you're hearing about buses and garbage trucks and all sorts of things.
Well, you know, there's an announcement almost a day. You know, Waste Management, Florida-based, just announced they're going to convert 18,000 of their garbage trucks, refuse trucks, to natural gas, compressed natural gas. They're a fleet, a large fleet, and we see the fleets converting on a regular basis. Any place where they come back to central fueling is an ideal location. So we see in the heavy-duty trucks along interstate highways, we see in fleets in local areas, municipal fleets, school buses, those kinds of vehicles. But we also see movement now with the large equipment manufacturers, whether it's the engine manufacturers for heavy-duty trucks or the original equipment manufacturers, Chrysler, GM, Ford, and others, that are looking at pickups and light-duty vehicles using natural gas.
And what's the advantage?
The advantage is range of the fuel, the availability of the fuel, and most importantly, the price. Last time I was in Tampa, Gordon and I went out to look at one of their sites at the airport, and where their comparable sales against gasoline, which is running close to $4 a gallon, they were at $2 and less.
Yeah, it's about half the price.
About half the price. And that price is going to be stable for quite some time.
Yeah. And I'll just add, there's an environmental advantage as well.
Oh, sure.
Greenhouse gas emissions from trucks that are fueled with compressed natural gas are about 29% lower than comparable diesel-fueled trucks. So there's some real advantages, and we're really seeing things take off in Florida. 2 years ago, there were probably about 50 compressed natural gas vehicles in Florida. Today, there are 700, and by the end of this year, we expect there'll be 1,000. And so businesses, as Dave says, businesses and municipalities alike are finding both the economic benefits and the environmental benefits of this. And by the way, it helps our local gas company as well. You'll be interested to know, Kathy, that one truck or bus fueled with natural gas has the gas load equivalent of an Outback restaurant. And,
really?
and one compressed natural gas fueling station would use the equivalent of about 27 Outback restaurants or one medium-sized industrial customer. So it's good for the consumer, but it's also good for our business as well.
Okay, so for people watching who say, you know, when I think of natural gas, I think of that propane tank next to my grill. Humor me. How does it work? How do you get that into a vehicle?
Well, very briefly.
20 seconds, because I'm not sure about the science lesson here, but.
A lot of compression.
A lot of, what does that mean?
Take the gas off the pipeline at maybe as low as 50 pounds per square inch and compress it to 7,000 pounds per square inch.
Does it look like a diamond when you compress it? Does it look like a diamond?
It's still gas. It's still gas.
Yeah, it has a special tank, but It's not new technology. There are 13 million natural gas vehicles around the world.
Yeah.
And in fact, the United States has really lagged the rest of the world in using this because we've been so dependent on gasoline. And before I came to the American Gas Association, I ran the Alliance of Automobile Manufacturers.
Oh my!
So in looking at the history here,
switch.
yeah, and so there's a lot of future and there's a lot of potential use for both natural gas vehicles, CNG, but also electric vehicles, alternative fuel. We need to reduce our dependence on foreign oil. It changes our international politics. This is an advantage that we have in this country. Again, environmentally it's clean and it's abundant and affordable. So Americans are going to be able to use this.
Yeah, I think it's a terrific success story. And I guess my question is, why is it not available to everyone? Why is it not accessible to everybody? And this is maybe a local question for you, because there are people on my street who say, I'd love to have gas. So how do you get it out there to everybody who wants it?
Right. Well, any new residential neighborhoods, and of course residential construction has been slow in most parts of the state, and Peoples Gas serves most of the metropolitan areas of the state. We're talking to developers about going in, but it really only makes sense when a new development is going in to put all those pipes in, because a little unlike Verizon when they put all the fiber optics in, right?
Yes.
Very easy for Verizon because they can just sell you a box for your house, right? But in a home, you change all your appliances.
Right.
And so it's a little bit different. Right now in Florida, there's about a 10% residential penetration of natural gas.
What was that?
About a 10%,
10%? Okay.
Penetration.
And you'd like to see it?
And we'd like to see it grow.
80, 90, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Will I one day be able to run my car on natural gas?
Actually, there's huge investments in the infrastructure of fueling stations along the highways and in regional areas. But there's also technology available, and the Department of Energy just awarded a grant for improving and lowering the cost of home refueling. So if you have a gas dryer in your home, you can hook up this unit in your garage. That you come in at night, you just plug it in and fuel your car. When you sleep, the car's fueled up. Next morning, you drive out.
Wow.
So they're doing it on the electric side. They're doing it on natural gas. This is part of the fueling for the future. So you reduce the dependence on that local gas station. And the important thing over time, you won't have the fluctuations in price. When people drive along and they look at the placard out there at the gas station and say, oh my God, here we are at $4 or going up. With the home refueling or central fueling, you'll see a stable and I think a lower price.
Fabulous idea. Gordon Gilette, thank you for joining us. Mr. McCurdy, good to have you down here from Washington. Hope you have a good visit to Tampa Bay. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much.
Let's go over to Frank now, talking about how to balance energy needs with being environmentally friendly in our community. Frank?